Promises to be a breakout decade. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one market panel you just do not want to miss.
Well, thank you, Abha. Thank you, Ruchi. Thank you very much. If a pantheon of great investors has to be made, there is one name which will always find a prominence there. That's Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. That's how I have historically introduced him. Great market investor, India's most loved investor, India's most famous investor. But today I want to introduce him slightly differently. I've had the pleasure of interacting with both Rakesh and Madhu on various forums. And apart from being investors, understanding of economics, and the ability to call market cycles right, they both are extraordinary human beings. I've had the pleasure of interacting with Rakesh both personally and professionally, and trust me when I say that, he's one of the most humblest, simple, and a person who I've met with who always believes in one simple thing: my word has to be my bond. Rakesh and Madhu, thank you both for joining us. Now, Madhu, how does it feel? Today, you would be part of this firing squad, which is that you would be asking questions to Mr. Jhunjhunwala. So for the first time, you would be not standing in front of the firing squad, but standing with me to fire the bullets.
Nikunj, it's an absolute honor and pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it, to interact with my friend, philosopher and guide of my life. And it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be able to be part of this questioning forum, if I may put it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. Mr. Jhunjhunwala, I'm going to quote you what you said. Is my voice reaching you, Mr. Jhunjhunwala? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
They call me Rakesh. Anyway.
Well, the world likes to call you Bhaiya, so I would prefer Mr. Jhunjhunwala. Okay. I'm going to quote something from a last interaction, which is that you see India going past China in next 25 years. You remain extremely bullish and you feel that this decade belongs to India. Let's elaborate on that. Do you think finally pieces are falling into place, both from a reform side, earnings standpoint, and from the administration standpoint?
See, even at the cost of reputation, I think India has got all the inherent qualities that are required for growth. We as a society only have to tap those qualities and enable our citizens. And I'm no politician. And I think as time is coming, India is progressing, and especially in the last 3-4 years, the reforms that have taken place in the form of Jan Dhan, in the form of the digital, the way Indian society has got digitalized, right? We always have the skills, and now the government is promoting ease of doing business, privatizing the public sector. So I think all these things are going to lead to double-digit growth in India. And I personally believe India evolves, and what evolves biologically is permanent. And nothing is tops down, it's all bottoms up. So I have the same thought. I had it 10 years ago, and I have it now, and I think I'll have it as long as I live. So I feel now that the reforms are coming through, I think it's the time that we will reach the threshold of a breaking point, of an inflection point.
But Mr. Jhunjhunwala,
I don't know if most Indians are recognizing it, but Indian markets are recognizing it.
But Mr. Jhunjhunwala, for India to grow in double digit, you need 4 factors which have to align together: exports, consumption, also government spending, and also what will happen at the local level in terms of our savings. Given the global backdrop we are in, can India grow in isolation in double digit?
I think it can. It is going to, next year people are predicting 12, 13%. I think after that we'll start at 6, 6.5, 7, and I think every year we'll raise it by 1%. So I will be disappointed if within 5 years India doesn't go to double-digit growth. And see, there are obstacles, a lot of things have to be done. But when change comes in, things fall in place. I agree there's a lot of work to be done, but I think the government and the people are doing it. We are underestimating the effect about the change that is coming in, that's my opinion, and I reserve the right to be wrong. And I'm no theoretician, I'm no economist, I'm no politician.
So, Bhaiya, I may jump in here. Let me take the liberty of calling you Bhaiya.
Bhaiya.
And government has initiated such enormous reforms in last 2 years. A lot of work which was pending for years, whether it is labor reform, whether it is reform on the agriculture side, whether it is opening up of mining sector. And obviously, clearly that has aided. And as we heard Mr. Das at RBI, I think RBI has done such a phenomenal job in this pandemic by ensuring that the liquidity is paramount there and interest rates are kept low. In your opinion, what more would you suggest to the government and the policy maker? What are the 3 or 5 more steps which are needed to accelerate A, ease of doing business, and B, ensuring that we can actually achieve that 10% real growth?
See, I think one thing what we do is we got to enact laws in which we have faith in our citizens, right? And we need to enforce those laws with great effort and great effect. I think we also need to work on a judiciary system so that there is a faster disposal of cases. And, remember one thing, Madhu, everything is going to act in each other.
Sure.
Right? Then only will you reach an inflection point.
Sure.
So I'm quite sure that the steps which the government are taking, this is basically creating ease of doing business and ease of doing work.
Sure.
Right? And we are on the threshold of second generation of reforms.
Sure.
Nothing in this company can happen, nothing in this country, we are an elephant.
Sure.
Nothing can be done at a speed at which we desire.
Sure. But is there anything specific which you would like to convey? Because this is an economic conclave organized by...
That is a very, very, broad, very, very large, I can suggest 50 things.
No, that's why I asked only 2 or 3 pointers if you can put out. These are the 3 things which...
I think PSU privatization is very, very important.
Sure.
I think the reform, holding on to the reform, and I don't understand this farmers' agitation. India is producing 1 lakh crore of rice and wheat which nobody can eat. You are producing rice in Punjab where there is no water, and the water levels are absolutely low. So we got to, whatever we decide for reform, we have to face it and keep up to it in spite of political opposition and vested interests.
Sure. Yeah, coming to markets, obviously this all has to be translated in the market. So we have had a very sharp rise from 7,500 to 15,000.
Right.
We are at a lifetime high, right? And a lot of stocks have also gained 3, 4, 500% from the bottom. In your opinion, while we see the economic growth at 6, 7, 8, 10% going forward in the next 5 years, what kind of returns would you say? I know that 10 years there is a large possibility, but if I take a 3-5 year horizon, which is typically an horizon for an investor, what kind of return you think can still be made in the markets?
See, Madhu, I think life returns depends on attitudes.
Sure.
Whether you want to be speculative, you want to be a mature investor. I think that
we are talking about mature investors.
And see, I myself always have all my wealth in equity.
Sure.
Or 98% of my wealth.
Sure.
So I'm looking for returns between 15 and 24%.
Yeah.
Now there are times where you may get 24, there are times you may get 15.
Sure.
But I don't think the average return on equity anywhere are going to exceed between 18 to 21%.
Sure. But yeah, your returns are not published, but I have the privilege to know some of the real bets which you took. Let me ask you.
But you are only talking of the successful bets, no? There are mistakes also.
I know, I understand
so
that.
And we are talking about common investors.
No, we'll come to that. What I'm saying is, if you could produce what return you would produce from 2002 to 2020, do you think similar returns you can expect to produce in your own portfolio over the next 10 years?
What I produced between 2002 and 2008, I don't think I can replicate.
Sure.
But what I produced between 2002 and 2020, I think I'll replicate all my life.
Oh, that is very important. That's absolutely soothing. Yes, I think this is an absolutely right time to take bold calls on cyclicals on India, because that's my opinion. I don't know whether you concur with that or not.
I can't agree more.
Yeah. So what are the sectors would you think we should play in this cycle, basically, which is starting now?
See, I mean, how long if the cycle is going to last for 5-7 years?
Absolutely.
It's a buffet party.
That's right.
Anybody can eat what they want, but don't overeat.
Yeah.
So I think all sectors will perform well. And at the moment, I think the commodities, I think we are going into a very big commodity bull run, and which is going to last for the next 5-7 years. So I think at the moment, commodity stocks are the best bets.
Sure.
Especially steel, and I want to make a SEBI declaration that I'm very much interested in the commodity
sector. Everything is being disclosed and disclaimed.
No, I have to.
Sure.
I have to give it.
Sure.
Right, I am very bullish on the commodities.
Sure. But yeah, I think you played the public sector beautifully between 2003 and 2008. Right? Public sector have been a big underperformer. A lot of stocks are still 50-75% of their lows, and the public sector index as a whole is still down 50-60% from their highs. Where are we in the public sector cycle? As you say, it's a Tendulkar has to make 200 runs as a century. Where are we? And do you think he is going to make 200 runs in this?
See, my personal feeling is there could be a valuation correction in the stock. I'm very bullish on government banks.
Sure.
Right? I'm bullish on the banking sector, and I feel the most undervalued banks are in the public sector.
Sure.
And I think the credit cycle has, the credit cycle which we have, it has turned.
Sure.
Going ahead, there is going to be a lot of demand for money.
Sure.
The cost to income ratio of banks is going to come down, of public sector banks.
Sure.
And there is going to be demand for money, so there will be pricing power.
Sure.
And they are hopelessly undervalued.
Sure, absolutely.
So within the government sector, I think banking is next.
Sure.
I think other than the banking sector, I don't know much about. What my advice to investors would be, there will be a run-up in the stocks in which government is going to disinvest.
Sure.
But when the government disinvests,
Sure.
after that there will be a honeymoon, or there will be a maturity period of at least 3 to 4 years
Sure.
before the new owners can really turn around those companies into more efficient ones.
Sure.
So I think my answer would be buy the public sector banks,
Sure.
buy the disinvestment candidates,
Sure.
and then, I mean, you could disinvest with the government.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Let me give you some number. Yesterday only I did some number crunching. Public sector, there were 27 banks in 2015. Now we are left with 12. Government is intending that it will be 8. They made, all these 27 banks put together made 10 lakh crore rupees of operating profit, and they made 1.25 lakh crore rupees of loss, net loss between this period. And they made a provision of 11.5 lakh crores. So, जितना clean हो सकता था, उतना clean कर दिया.
It's done, and see, in no society does a credit cycle occur without a gap of a decade at least.
Sure.
And I think the reasons why they occurred is that overinvestment.
Yeah.
And I think mainly integrity issues, that people are given loans which they shouldn't have been given.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I don't know whom to blame. I think we should blame ourselves as a society.
Sure.
And therefore, I think that credit cycle now is over and gone. And India has one of the lowest. I mean, you have 10% of, housing loans to GDP. Thailand has 29%. America has more than 100%.
Sure.
So I think the growth there, and also the people who have the deposit gathering power are the people who are going to get the margins.
Sure. But I'm not putting words in your mouth. You can, you need not answer this question in a manner in which I'm asking you. Even I am very, very bullish on public sector bank. You think you could multiply your money 5-10 times in some of the select public sector banks in a matter of 5, 7, 10 years, whatever time it takes?
I won't rule it out.
You will not. That's very useful. Thank you so much.
Mr. Jhunjhunwala, it's a coincidence, but a terrible coincidence. Exactly a year ago, the world discovered COVID for the first time. And the COVID numbers are going up again today. Do you see financial markets reacting to the second wave, which has been unfortunate, but it exactly happened after 1 year?
No, but I think, see, first I would like to state that there is need to be, we must take precautions, but we must realize that COVID is also another flu. In India, 25 lakh people have flu every day. The virality of the virus and the mortality of the virus has been reduced considerably. So I think all this anxiousness, we should take precautions, no question, right? But all this anxiousness about there is going to be a second wave of COVID, and India, in Delhi was very bad 3 months ago. What's there in Delhi today? So I think it's a passing phase, and if people sell markets because, there is COVID, I think it's the time to buy. And this was my call in May, and I made one of the biggest money in my life by making that call. So I'm still of the view that, boss, it's a big Allah, that there are 25 lakh people having flu in India. There's another form of flu. It's very infectious, so we must take precaution. But I got a testing done in my hospital, in my office. 55 people have got herd immunity.
Nikunj, if I can just chip in that COVID question. Yeah, I know that you are one of the most successful person in investing, this must be one of your most successful calls as well during this COVID period. How did you take that call and when did you decide that you really want to bet in the market this time?
See, I don't know what comes in my mind and how and why it comes. So I can't gather the reasons.
No, I'm just...
But you know, when there is extreme, in May there was extreme fear in the market. And I knew of 3-4 cash shares. In Tata Communication, there was a deal of 90 lakh shares at 235. And in 1 month, the stock was 800, 900. So what is the typical bottom where a huge volume takes place and the stock just bounces off? So there were 5-6 instances like this. And the fear was at the highest and the valuation was unbelievable. Telco had a market cap of 25,000 crores with 3 lakh crores of sales. I thought the bet is absolutely in my favor.
Sure.
So there's so much panic and market is showing exactly opposite and the highest level of disbelief.
Sure.
So,
And then, you know, people think very smart, but we are also guided by how markets react.
Sure.
And the market was just refusing to go down.
so Mr.
Yeah, all
Junjun,
these years, you've only spoken about judging the market in a broad sense and then taking a view. You know, can you just, run all the viewers who are watching you today, how do you actually take that broad sense of the market? Because knowing you for 25 years, if I have to put only one strength of yours, it will be that you have such a phenomenal broad sense of what is happening around in the
The
market.
question is, with the 35 years of experience in the stock markets, we have some idea of companies.
Sure.
You know, I think every company in the Nifty I have owned sometimes or I've short sold sometimes.
Sure.
So I have some idea.
Absolutely.
Then we keep ourselves aware of what's happening around
Sure.
India and internationally,
Sure.
right? And then we see price movement.
Sure.
And you know, my behavioral science is just people's reaction.
Sure.
If I go to a cocktail party in the evening and nobody's talking about the stock market is up.
Sure.
I know people are not participating.
Sure.
And you know, markets can sometimes be very treacherous.
Sure.
But they are the way they are. We have to accept them. We can't change them.
Sure.
Right? So that is how we judge. And Madhu, you know, we have no formalized formulas, no algorithms.
Yeah.
The only rule is there are no rules.
Sure.
So it comes from a mind, and I can't reason why it comes. But the thought comes, the understanding comes.
Sure. Thank you so much. Nikunj.
right, I'm in Delhi, but I will use the Mumbai example here. And this is just for the benefit of our viewers, people present here, people who will be watching this interview a little later on. If this bull market, Mr. Junjunwala, is like a train journey, and the train starts from Churchgate and goes to Borivali, 1 year into this bull market, where has the bull market reached?
We have reached Churni Road. This is the station next to Churchgate. No, because we are underestimating two things, I think. The potentiality and the reality of what India's growth is going to be. And second is, we are a country where, you know, $750 billion is saved. What is the money which is coming into equity? Yeah. And what are the alternative investments? So the kind of, and you remember one thing, that gain produces more gain and more investment. And if you look at the worldwide situation, where is this kind of growth possible? And with the interest rates being what they are abroad, you know, for a 5% return in dollar terms, a phenomenal return.
Sure.
And I don't see any rise in interest rates in America, you know, in inflation in America beyond 2%. The Bank of Japan keeps on printing money, but there's no inflation. And if there's no inflation, then in these aging societies, then how is interest is going to go? So I think there's so much growth to come and so much capital to come. I hope and I think, you know, हिंदी पिक्चर में बोलते हैं ना कि दुल्हन को बुलाओ, क्या मुहूर्त का समय हो गया है, तो ऐसे ही बात है
Sure.
कि अब इंडिया का मुहूर्त हो गया है.
Sure.
So when will the happy, just one more question, Madhu. So Dulan ka samay ho gaya hai, but for somebody looking at a happy family, when do you think the rewards and dividends will be reflected for Indian investors? You think it will be an ongoing process? You think this decade belongs to us?
Yeah, he's asking whether the decade belongs to us from going forward and whether the new investors who are coming.
Mr. Dalmia, the decade doesn't belong to us, the century belongs to it. It's going to be an Indian century.
Fantastic. Very good. Bhaiya, very little is spoken about your private investment. I mean, being a friend, I am aware what kind of investment you have made and what kind of returns you have made. You know, and I see all around a lot of my friends running such big shops, having private equity, big teams. You run with a team of 2 or 3 people, and you have invested some of the companies which are well known to the world, like Metro Shoes, like you made a phenomenal investment in Star Health. Your money is almost tripled or gone 4 times in matter of 1.5 to 2 years. You've invested in Nazara, you invested in Concord. Can you, explain how your experience has been and how you are able to make such decisions across variety of sector, across public markets, across private markets?
See, Madhu, I mean, I would have made 20 private equity investments.
Sure.
Out of it, 10 are duds, dead and written off. 5 have done moderately well and 5 have done beautifully well.
Sure.
So it's not that my strike rate is higher than most
But
people.
I'm sure the amount of money which you lost in the investment, which you made, which have gone done,
No,
must be
overall-
very small.
No, overall my return, I think today is higher than what is in the listed market,
Sure,
in unlisted. What I feel is, see, I invested in Metro in 2006.
sure,
I invested in Concord in 2009.
sure,
I invested in a company called Inventures in 2009. So see, my investment horizons are far greater.
sure,
And I started with this with very, when we were very small companies. When I invested in Metro, the turnover was 60 crores, 80 crores.
Sure.
And I think last year the turnover was about 1400 crores.
And if I'm not mistaken, you only paid what, 35-40 crores to buy?
What I paid, I mean, that's right. So the question is that I have long time horizons.
Sure,
I have patience,
sure,
right? And see, I judge the opportunity and the person and the valuation.
sure,
And then I leave it on the future. So I don't know. See, but I'm not doing much private equity. Of course, I'm doing 3 new investments now at the moment. But it's a very taxing job, and then you get emotionally involved, right? So
but
good.
huge rewards, no, bhaiya. Matlab, what kind of returns are we talking even in
Being
absolute
lucky,
money?
Madhu.
Yeah.
And
So God bless you, and I hope.
but I have
it
done
continues.
difficult deals. I mean, Star Health. I don't think anybody else could have done it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, to get at a 7,000
No,
crore
there are a lot of
valuation.
problem in the promoters, and the valuation was very high, and it took 18 months for us to do the deal.
Sure. We have the other thing which intrigues me again, because I know you so well, the pace at which you can take a decision. I remember in the middle of the pandemic calling you, भैया भेल अच्छा लगता है. Right before I kept the phone down, you told me मैंने तो 1.25 crore ले लिया है. How do you take such decisions, and you take those decisions with a friction of a second, crores of
See,
rupees?
remember one thing, never go against the trend.
Sure.
The trend is upward.
Yeah.
The stocks are battered.
Sure.
Bail, for example, was 15% of 10% of its high price.
Sure.
You expect that a capital cycle will take place in India.
Sure.
And you look for opportunity, and when you see opportunity, why wait? Seize it.
Sure.
Don't wait, seize it. Markets don't give you time.
Sure.
So that's how, and there's no investment committee. I have only one partner, my wife. She doesn't ask anything. Right? So I do what I like, and I have no system of allocation. And
Bhaiya, you are being too humble, but trust me, this is God gift or some highest level of intellect, because you don't invest like crores and crores of rupees and being
No,
successful.
but Madhu, if you see, we can go for analysis paralysis.
Sure.
Right? See, we don't know. We invest in the realms of possibilities. We invest in the future.
Sure.
So you see, you're buying at a price. As you see the future, do you see a good return? What is there on the downside? I mean, bail is down 90%, maybe it's down 88%. Nothing. It's not going to get zero. So look at the price. So there's so many factors like that.
Bhaiya, I want to quote you on risk. I read it somewhere where you had written an article, and it says there is a very common problem for all of us in life. We hesitate while taking risks. However, life is also a great challenge, and don't we all risk it? Hence, the advice is risk it. You might discover a new passion in yourself. Can you elaborate on your thesis of how you take risk, how you take bet, how you leverage? Even very well seasoned investor like Warren Buffett, they say don't leverage, don't leverage. But you are someone who is openly saying leverage, but you know how much to bet, what to bet. This will be very interesting for everyone to
See,
hear.
I will say one thing, that I have two interests in life, markets and women.
Sure.
They are both concerned with four-letter words. Markets, women with love and markets with risk.
Sure.
And I have, I left without taking a job, I came to the market with 5,000 rupees, I'm a risk taker. And now the risk taking has become a habit.
Sure.
But see, you must leverage extremely when you think the market is giving you unbelievable opportunity. I mean, you have Great Eastern available at 12% yield, at
Sure.
half book value and at 1/3 fleet value.
Sure.
And 12% yield, and Standard Chartered would give him money at 9%. I mean, I would sell my wife's bangles and buy Great Eastern. So there have been occasions when markets give you extreme opportunity.
So that is when you leverage.
But remember one thing, leverage has no mother, leverage has no emotions, right? Leverage has no sympathy.
Sure.
If you go wrong, nobody is going to save you.
Sure.
Have no emotions.
Sure.
In March, in 4 trading days, I sold 400 crores worth of shares.
Sure.
And my instruction to my dealer was, वापिस नहीं आना, share बेच के आना.
Sure.
So I didn't see the price. So I was leveraged at that time.
Is there any particular number here of your net worth? How much will you leverage? Normally speaking. No, you don't have. Okay. Bhaiya, one more question on the short side. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala as a trader is equally successful as Rakesh Jhunjhunwala as an investor. And it's a delight to see both parts of yours, how you can distinguish, how you can differentiate. I'm asking you as a practical sense. We know that 33% of the world market cap is like technology stocks. There is clear sign of bubble building up in some of the pockets in the technology stocks. If you had the flexibility to short some of these companies, what will you look for?
What I would look for is, one, a reversal in the fundamentals
Sure.
of each individual company.
Sure.
And then an extreme commitment. See, markets, George Soros made the £1 billion against the pound and the mark.
Sure.
He said from the day first when they put the EMU, European Monetary Mechanism, he said it will not last.
Sure.
Because Germany and Britain will not align their monetary policy.
Sure.
And therefore the currencies cannot be. But he waited until the time when he knew that now it has to break.
Sure.
So in share bazaar, in the stock market, time se zyada timing ka importance.
But that's what I'm
So
asking.
therefore, just because the stock has gone up 80 times, like someone told me sell Asian Paints 80 times earning. I told him you sell it and see
Sure.
what will happen.
Sure.
So just because the stock has gone up to short it, or value is, you could value short Tesla at 400 billion, it becomes 600 billion.
Sure.
So unless and until now facts are appearing that there is competition emerging
Sure.
from the traditional automakers in the electrical space.
Sure.
So once that is proven,
Sure.
right, and then there's a frenzy. That is a time to short.
Sure.
But I don't trade out, invest outside India.
Sure.
And share bazaar has stock market has one principle. Just because something has gone up, you sell it.
Sure.
Or something has gone down, you buy it. Never do it in your life.
Sure. Sure. Nikunj?
Right. I'd like to bring your attention, Mr. Jhunjhunwala. Right. I'd like to bring your attention to the fact that one side we are talking about the golden decade for India, but frankly, if I look at the last decade, not too many great companies have taken birth.
Nikunj, we can't hear you.
Is my
Nikunj,
voice
we
reaching
can't hear
you?
you. Just set the mic, let me continue.
Hi, is my
Yeah,
voice reaching
no,
you?
We have seen.
No, my question, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, is that the differentiated companies in India, a DMart, a Titan, an Indigo, Bajaj Finance, what do you think would be the differentiating factor for companies, and what should shareholders look at when it comes to investing in this decade? Because every decade the factors, whether it is inflation, macro, valuation, the backdrop changes. Given that we are in a world dominated with technology and information, what changes for an investor in this decade?
Well, what has changed for investors in the last 5 decades is, one, there is information overflow. The speed with which information is transmitted and the speed and the quantum of information that or data which is available is unbelievable. And second thing, there is volatility. the basic principles of investing have remained the same and will remain the same forever, I think. But what has changed is the velocity and the availability of information. And second thing is the volatility both in terms of the life cycle of companies and in the terms of prices. I think that's what has changed in the last 5 decades.
One thing
A lot
which
of new investors have come. You know, we call it Robin.
investor question. Madhu, would you like to ask that question?
Yeah.
No, please carry on, Nikunj. Sorry.
Mr. Jhunjhunwala, what will be your advice to the Robin Hood investors, the investors which in a sense have taken a birth in the pandemic crisis? A lot of new investors have come to stock markets believing that stock market is the place for instant gratification, and they've had initial success. What would you advise to them?
First thing I tell them, don't forget this is not the race course. And all this volume of fluctuation that games gap, I don't know which company in America, I think is very damaging for investors. Most investors are going to lose money in that. So I think for the place, you know, if you get on debt 6% return, your target should get 15 to 24% return on equity, right? And don't involve yourself in all this daily gambling, where stocks go by 40% and 50% every day. I think, and so life is about attitudes. So the mature attitude is to invest safely, give your money to experienced people to invest, to mutual funds, to fund managers, and expect a return which is reasonable.
Sure.
Don't forget this, you know, I used to have a drink in Jeffries. Some pretty girl will come and ask me that what do you buy? I tell her buy XYZ. If you tell her, she'll ask me what return I'll get. I'll say it will double in 3 to 4 years. Only I give her the address of the Mahalakshmi race course. So, you know, the first thing is everything in life is about maturity. And don't go on scaling your bets.
Sure.
And invest your own money, not your father-in-law or father's money.
But yeah, in a similar lines, you know, you have seen so many successful companies and so many successful entrepreneurs, right? And again, this is the economic conclave. A lot of entrepreneurs who are young, budding, have ambition, dream, are listening to you. What will be your advice to them for consistent wealth creation, some large wealth creation? What will be your message?
See, first is you got to be in an industry which is growing. There has to be large opportunity,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Second, I think corporate governance. Because, see, corporate governance is a very wide word.
Sure.
Corporate governance is not only corporate governance attitude towards society, towards customers, towards employees, towards stakeholders, sharing fairly, not taking undue risk, according to me, is also part of corporate governance.
Sure.
Third, I think, is technology and the ability to change.
Sure.
Fourth is there has to be frugality.
Sure.
You know, I give Indigo and DMart as extreme companies who use frugality.
Sure.
And I think companies which are patient,
Sure.
you know, if the race is not going to get finished tomorrow, then I always think the tortoise wins against the hare.
Sure.
So growth is a process. Don't try to sidestep it.
Sure.
So for long-term return, I think these are the basic principles, and I think recognize change.
Sure.
And you know, a lot of large companies can grow big. I find entrepreneurs don't want to give up the power.
Sure.
But companies where you delegate are the only companies which can scale.
Sure.
I think these are the broad
But
principles.
you will still see companies like Titan, DMart over the next 20 years where your money will be 50 times, 100 times over a period
Well,
of time.
when I invested in Titan, I didn't think my money will be 50
But
times.
that's what I'm saying. Do you think there is still a possibility of that kind of
Not
return?
is possible. There is extreme. There is a lot of possibility. Who knows the future?
Sure.
Therefore, but you must change.
Sure.
When I bought Titan, I had a different thought. As time progressed and I learned more and I saw its performance, my thought changed.
Sure.
So see, the market is all about the ability to change, the ability to learn.
Sure. But on the learning point, after
Flag
last
off here.
20 years, if you are to relive again,
Need to flag off. I hate to intervene,
Nikunj.
but we got perhaps time for one more question. All yours.
One more question.
okay. So okay, let me just wrap this saying that, you know, if you had last 20 years to relive again, you know, is there any regret? Is there anything which will change? Like you did not invest in MNC companies or you did not invest
I
in...
have no regret in life.
Sure.
I only wish I had I had better personal habits and I exercise more.
Sure.
As for life is not about regrets, it's about learnings,
Sure.
according to me.
Yeah, with that, let me take you one last
Question, can I ask a last question?
Had a 60th birthday.
Can I just ask one last
Yeah,
question?
please, Nikunj, but you will have to allow me 1 minute to read something which I have written for you.
Sure. So, Mr. Jhunjhunwala, if you have to give Mr. Jhunjhunwala, if you have to give an advice to Madhu Kela of being what he should have done in his career, he should have not done in his career, what would you tell Madhu Kela?
Well, I think he should have been independent far earlier. He should have left Reliance much earlier.
Sure.
Madhu, over to you, and then we'll wrap after this.
I wrote a few lines. Yeah, I wrote a few lines for you. They're a real tribute to my master,
Please.
essentially, and it's with the help of my colleague. Nikunj, you'll have to allow me 1 minute. मस्त रहते हो हरदम, सब पर रखते हो पैनी नजर, जीतने का हमेशा जुनून, बड़ा खेलने का जिगर, इन्वेस्टिंग को बना दिया है आपने इतना आसान, हर रिसर्च पर भारी आपकी सोच और आपका ज्ञान, अपना मन बना लेते हो बस लगता है पल भर, चाहे कितना भी हो लंबा सफर, अपनों से प्यार हर किसी से लगाओ, अपनों से प्यार हर किसी से लगाओ, सर्वोपरि रखते हो देने का भाव, जीने का आपका निराला है अंदाज, जीने का आपका निराला है अंदाज, मार्केट के बादशाह जिस पे सबको है नाज, दूर से ही तेजी जो लेते हो भाप, दूर से ही तेजी जो लेते हो भाप, हम सब गुरुओं के गुरु हो आप.
I wish I can live up to these words, Madhu.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I hope and I wish I live up to these words.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bhaiya. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Really enjoyed interacting with you. Thank you so much.
Madhusudan Kela, I must say that I am getting worried now that you become such a good anchor. Should my skills be upgraded? A question which I need to think about. But thank you, Mr. Jhunjhunwala. Thank you, Madhusudan Kela. Thank you very much. And Ruchi Abha, back to both of you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for that.